is the Big O Show. This is the Big O Show.
There we go. Give me that can. Give me that can. Give me that can.
We gotta have like a tug of war gift, man. Like a tug of war graphic. We're just both wrestling for this can, man.
Exactly. Delicious.
Get the boys in the lab.
That's right. Delicious, smooth, and zero aftertaste Edge energy drink. The link is below here on our YouTube page. Check it out. Try it. You will love it. I promise you. Dougie Fresh says, music news. Questlove and Mick Jagger are producing a 4-part documentary about the godfather of soul, James Brown. Nice.
Yeah, I'll watch it.
Hell yeah. I mean, you know, those are two guys that, you know, especially Mick Jagger, who actually like knew James Brown and performed with him, and obviously coming up in the same era and all that. So Jagger is a great sounding board off of that. So that should be an interesting biography or documentary that they're going to put together. I like that overall. All right. So are you believing any of this Sean Payton and Tom Brady to Miami?
No, I'm not. I mean, there's a lot of speculation, obviously, that Tom Brady was the guy, the quarterback, that Stephen Ross tried to meet with on the yacht. And you know, who knows? Like in a world there, you could believe that this coaching process took so long because they wanted to see how the Sean Payton process would, you know, the Sean Payton situation was happening in New Orleans. But no, man, I don't think that would. I don't think that would really mesh with what, you know, they're trying to do. It's kind of a pipe dream. This is still rumor season. This is still throw spaghetti at a wall, see what sticks season. I don't think I'm buying the whole Tom Brady and Sean Payton super team to the Dolphins. Now, the same guy, Florio, I think, reported that he still believes Deshaun Watson is in play for the Dolphins. That one I do believe.
You do believe?
That one
okay.
I'd be, or let me rephrase. I'm more inclined to believe that than I am Sean Payton and Tom Brady coming to Miami.
Okay. I got you. Now.
Yeah.
Okay.
Let me clear it up here.
There's zero truth to it. I mean, like, there's zero truth to it. Okay. These guys are completely dedicated to Tua. They're dead set on fixing everything with Tua and trying to build around it to see if they can, you know, I just was talking about this with Cham because we were talking about, you know, offensive linemen in the draft. And I don't think the Dolphins have any plans to take an offensive lineman early on in the draft. Why? They don't have time to develop anybody anymore. If they're going to get an offensive lineman or two, they're going to buy them because they're already made. And then the guys that are there now, well, they have experience. Now you get real coaches to hopefully coach those guys up. Why? Because your window's down to 2 years with Tua now. You've got to find out what he is the next 2 years. You don't have time to wait for other linemen to develop anymore. You need to develop your quarterback and make a decision on his ass in the next 2 seasons because you have to either crap or get off the pot because you're going to have to give him a fat-ass contract. And the only way you give him that fat-ass contract is if you actually know if he can play in the next 2 years. So the only way you're going to know is by surrounding him with veterans right now because he needs to make the quick transition.
Yeah, then this is kind of what we were talking about the last time I was on the show is that, you know, they're in that window where Tua is on a rookie deal and they have all this cap space. It's a perfect scenario for a team to build talent around this cheap option at the most important and expensive position and see how far you can get. So yeah, they've spent significant draft capital on offensive linemen over the past several years. There are 4 guys that were picked in the top 100, man. Like this is not it's not like they're just, you know, signing guys off the street and adding random veterans on that line. Like they have tried like hell to build that offensive line into something. And that is why you see hires like Frank Smith and hires like Matt Applebaum, guys who have experience developing offensive linemen, you know, and I'm glad that they also, and this was going to get some response out of people, but I'm glad that they kept Lemuel Jean-Pierre on as an assistant
yeah.
coach, because it's not that he's a bad coach or that he will never be a good coach. It's that I think he might have been in over his head a bit. Like, I just don't think
He
he
wasn't
was
ready.
ready for that role. And but after firing 3 coaches in 3 seasons or however many it was, Brian Flores didn't have like a plethora of options for the job. So I think that we're going to see a coaching staff that is more experienced in developing that position group. And I would expect to see a better offensive line, man, because like Dieter is not a bad player. Rob Hunt is obviously not a bad player. He's probably their best lineman. Liam Eichenberg, 2nd round pick. I don't think anybody was questioning it at the time. And this was a guy who, if I remember correctly, people believe could sneak into the end of the 1st round. Like some people were talking him as the best tackle. So like, it's not that he just all of a sudden is bad, and all of these evaluators, all of these analysts and scouts just didn't know what they were talking about. Like the probability of missing on 4 offensive line picks like that is kind of astronomical. So I expect to see improved O-line play with a better coaching staff this coming season. Add a playmaker at 29. Like if Jameson Williams is still on the board, if Drake London is still on the board, guys who are coming back from injury, and that is really the only reason why they fell so far, specifically with Jameson Williams, man. I don't care if you took a receiver in last year's draft, do it again, man. When that kid comes back from his torn ACL, him and Waddle, the speed on that offense, you hear Mike McDaniel talk a lot about running after the catch and yards after the catch and putting guys like that in position to gain mass yardage. You could do a hell of a lot worse than Waddle and Jameson Williams on the outside. So, if a linebacker is around, add a linebacker. Looking at trading down, see if you can add another pick. Like if a quarterback falls and another team wants to come up, dangle that thing in front, man. See if you can add a pick in 2023. You've already got 2 in the 1st round. They still own the 49ers and they own their own. If they can somehow finagle a 3rd 1st round pick out of that, then all of a sudden, and again, might roll your eyes here, but if Tua does not develop this year, you have 3 1st rounders in the same draft to package and move up and get you another quarterback. Like it's all cautious. And if he does pan out, then you have 3 1st round picks. Like there's nothing. I don't see a downside in it.
Was the plan from the get-go was to get the quarterback now and over the next couple of years, surround them with all those picks, not use all your picks to then go get another quarterback. So then you don't have any more ammunition to surround them with. And you lose the cap space because then you've got to pay also the quarterback, which, by the way, leads me to why I think the story is also a bunch of BS. If you're actually really signing Sean Payton, you're going, well, you just coached a QB that's just like the one we have. Okay, you're the guy that can actually get the best out of Tua. Let's go. And why would Sean Payton come to Miami to coach Brady for a year and then have no quarterback after that? I mean, that's, it's just, there's so much stupid shit to that story that it just, to me, but it's kind of typical. It's just, let's just throw a whole bunch of things. And here's also, these are the kind of stories you throw up against the wall that you can't prove anyways. You can't prove it wrong or right anyway. You know what I mean? So
also, man, I'm trying. If I'm the Dolphins, I probably don't let that get out. I do whatever it takes not to let that get out. That we are going after Sean Payton. We're going after Tom Brady. Like it would be like they learned nothing from how to control a narrative.
By the way, that's been the MO since it's been the MO since Chris Greer took over. They don't talk to anybody, so nothing does get out overall. So that's kind of been like that for a while. So why is all of a sudden he getting all this misinformation? Give me a break.
I don't believe, like I said, I'm more inclined to believe the Deshaun Watson one than the Brady-Payton one. And I'm not even saying that I believe the Watson one. It's just, I have to pick one to go after. So I think, they evaluate Tua under somebody who, can design an offense built around him, who has obviously brought in a coaching staff capable of elevating that side of the ball. Like I love what he's done on offense. And most importantly, guys who can develop offensive linemen. So you literally protect your investment, add a running back. I think Duke Johnson deserves first snaps come like OTAs and mini camp and training camp. But, if you, especially if they trade down from 29 and you've added more day 2 picks, if Kenneth Walker's sitting there in the 2nd round, the 3rd round, pull, do it. Get a running back on day two. The strategy doesn't work, man. Like the Dolphins are
Well,
like the
no, no, no,
perfect
no, 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 no,
organization.
no.
Well,
Listen, they're gonna get the running back. It's that they will get it now. It's the guy that was there went the New England way. He didn't want to spend a high pick on a back. Watch them. They will either get a top 3 round running back or a free agent. You can bet your ass on that. They're not coming back with the guys that only the guys that they have on the roster right now.
no,
You'll see. It will
they
happen.
have to. It's just the Dolphins are like the perfect counter argument to everybody who says like, why spend a high pick on a running back? Just go get one on day three. Sign an undrafted free agent. Like that is harder than people are giving it credit for. Like that is harder to do and harder to identify than I think people believe. Like how many fourth,
Well,
fifth, sixth, seventh round backs
here's
has
the add
Chris
ammo.
Greer got?
Here, let me add ammo to your argument. In the Dolphins' case, you probably go for a higher back because you need a more talented guy at the moment because your line is unproven. Now, if we were talking about a line that was proven over the last couple of years and was a badass line, then I can say, oh, dude, I'll draft a guy in the 3rd or 4th round or 5th round. I'm fine. Our line is so good, it'll make him that much better. Right now, you need to add a superb athlete back there just to hopefully make a difference for any kind of shortcomings.
Yeah, I mean that's why I banged the table so hard for Travis Etienne last year, who unfortunately had that injury in training camp or in the preseason, and so maybe we'll never know what player he would have been. I thought Jacksonville was a weird spot for him, but
Yeah.
and it was a weird pick for them to make. But
They had
he's
the
still a
Robinson
talent.
kid. They had Robinson and Hyde, right? It was like,
Yeah, like Robinson was a very good back last year. I think drafting a first rounder it felt weird. I'm all for adding like stockpiling on talent, man, stockpiling on playmakers. But yeah, it did feel kind of like huh, that's weird. I thought in Buffalo,
James
ETN would have
Robinson
been
was one of
would
the
have been
best
awesome.
stories. James Robinson was one of the best stories in the NFL 2 years ago, dude.
Yeah,
Great
but no,
story.
there's no, as far as I know, and in the what I've looked at, like there's no first round back this year. So there's no, there's nobody I'm pounding the table for at 29 that I think the Dolphins need to take. Even if you take Walker there, I think it's a little bit of a reach. And especially with the carries that he's had in college and the workload that he had last year, I don't know if I just don't know if I would do that. That's not really.
I almost
That's
feel
not
like
where I'm at.
that pick's going to be traded down, dude. I almost feel like we're going to be in Vegas that night calling the draft, and we're going to be on for hours. And then we're finally going to get to that pick for the Dolphins. And they're going to go, the Dolphins have made a trade, and they've traded out of the first round into the early part of the second round and picked up extra picks and all that kind of stuff. Because I almost feel like at 29 or 37, they're going to go, it's the same effing player. Let's go take the extra picks. You know what I mean? So I almost feel like that's what's going to end up happening.
Yep, and I will put my laptop in the bag, pack up my charger, roll it up, and head on home. I'll be like, okay, that's fine. This is fine.
At that moment, Sean and I will say, beer. All right, we're going to wrap it up here on the show. We're out of here.
About to say, I'll have my Edge energy drink kicking, and I'm gonna have to go blow off some steam and go for a run or something. But like, you know what? I'm up at 1 a.m. for a traded pick, but I get to be, so I'm gonna go home now. I would expect them to trade the pick. All jokes aside, I don't know what kind of difference maker you get at 29. It depends on how the board falls, but particularly if one of these quarterbacks starts to fall, and maybe a team that might not need a QB, but it's on the horizon of things that they should be considering. So not unlike what we saw Green Bay do with Jordan Love a couple years ago. Then yeah, man, offer 29 up. Here you go. We don't need this.
And knowing them, they feel like it gives them an edge to get a couple of extra picks, maybe an extra in this draft and another extra in the next draft, so they can kind of get prepared for more ammunition, which, by the way, again, there's nothing wrong with that if you keep adding more and more picks. The fishnet approach in the draft is usually the best way to go, to have as many picks as possible because you're going to swing and miss. So more picks gives you more shots to finally get some hits. So
yeah,
I like that.
if let's say a team has anywhere between 6 and 8 draft picks in any given draft, it's not like all 8 of those are going to hit. If 3 of them, I think if 3 out of your 7-person draft class end up being, key players on your team, then I would call that a successful draft. You know what I mean? Like, it's not like I'm not sitting here saying, well, 5 out of the 7 don't. You know what I mean? Like this one right here.
Mastermind. You're a mastermind if you hit 5 out of 7.
Yeah, like that's what do we think this is, man? That doesn't even work. Even in Madden, you know what I mean? Like, you can go spend all your scouting points on players, and on the video game, you're not hitting on 5 out of 7, man. So like, why would I expect that in real life? Like, when you look at this past year, Waddle, Phillips, Holland hits. I don't care what the rest of the draft class does. Like, right. It was a good class. This is a great class.
Yeah. Although I do get pissed off that I know that the year before, okay, so the jury's out on the top 3 guys, but nobody ever mentions Raekwon Davis and Brandon Jones, who are already hits on it. And then if you hit on Tua along with Raekwon and Brandon Jones, the draft already becomes a monster, by the way. Doesn't matter if you hit on Jackson or Iggy, actually. Those become bonuses, if anything. But if Raekwon Davis is a player, Brandon Jones is a starter, and Tua becomes your quarterback. I mean, with Tua alone, the draft becomes a success if he hits. But nobody ever mentions Raekwon Davis and Brandon Jones in that draft.
Well, you say nobody. I put out a piece, I want to say it was in November, about Chris Greer's draft history. And I believe I say something along those lines, that if it weren't for guys like Raekwon Davis and Brandon Jones, then this class would have been an utter disaster. It would have been an utter disaster. Because you blew on the 3, or I don't want to say blew, because I think the jury is still out on Tua, and you know what, the jury's still out on Austin Jackson. Let's give him one more year, but still, it wasn't it's not that you blew those 3 picks. It's that you can quantifiably point to 3 players that they should have taken instead, and say this was the better pick.
Just say it. It's not the 21 draft. That's all. Just say it. It's not the 21 draft. Right? That's what you need. You got to hit like the 21 draft. You're already saying it's a hit already. That's it. You're done. You're good. You're fine, because those 3 players exploded right in your face. That's it, dude. You don't need to see more of Javon Holland. You know that guy's a freaking baller.
Star. And I said it 100 times. Star. But no, that's what I'm saying. I don't expect the team to hit on like all 7 picks. I expect you to hit your first rounders, though, man. Like, you got to hit your premium picks, your first and second round, like, more often than not, and not even just more often than not. I'm talking 85% of the time. Like, you have to hit on one of them. So, and even the third is a quality pick.
On your third too, bro. I think you got to hit on your. I think you start playing darts in the 4th round. Honestly, that's the way I look at it. Obviously, you're always playing darts. The draft is an imperfect science. But if you're paid to do this and you're really good, you need to be hitting more often than not in your first 3 rounds. That's the way I kind of look at it. After the 4th round and on, well, that's becomes really hard at that point.
And honestly, that's where Chris Greer, because if you do look at his draft history, he's actually pretty good on day 2. He's really good on day 2. I mean, we just said guys like Holland, guys like Davis, guys like Brandon Jones. They're his day 2. There are his day 2 picks. It's that he has been blowing his first rounders. Xavier Howard, another day 2 pick, but like, he's been blowing his first rounders. And with the exception of last year, it's just that, like, you're not making the most out of the most exciting part of this rebuild. And I think maybe the best first round pick off the top of my head that he's made, that is still obviously on the team, because I think Minka or Tunsil overall would be the best first rounder, would be Christian Wilkins. And as much as this fan base loves Christian Wilkins, and as cool as a person he is, and as good of a player he is, you can't sit here and tell me that you wouldn't rather have Brian Burns. So even that was not necessarily the correct pick. It's a pick that worked out, but either he has to start hitting on these first rounders. He's got 3 over the next 2 years. It's something to keep an eye on, as this new kind of tandem, as this new regime moves forward. Has Chris Greer, Or is it Mike McDaniel? We don't know who's actually making the picks, but like, can this combination
Oh
of
no
people make the pick?
no! This is
Like,
Greer now. McDaniel can make suggestions, but McDaniel, from what I'm
mhm.
told, does not have any kind of power like Brian Flores and Adam Gase had. They didn't. They were dead set on not making that mistake again. I'm like 1,000% sure of that.
And
He doesn't.
that's where I'm leaning that's where I lean as well, is that, I think that you're finally going to let this guy who came up in the scouting department have more autonomy over everybody except maybe the owner, obviously the owner, but still we'll be able to tell, okay, like how much of this was Greer and Gase, or was it Flores and Gase, and how much of it was Greer.
I think everybody's butt's on the line now. That's it. It's done. He got his coach again. He won't get the luxury of getting a third coach. It's a miracle he got a second coach.
Yeah.
As you know, minorities don't get that kind of opportunity. So he got it.
Right.
I'm sure Marvin Allen, and Reggie McKenzie, we got to nail this one. We got to get it right. That's why I personally trust the 3 personnel guys. But what I didn't like is that they deferred to Flores too much. And then they made the same mistake that Tannenbaum and company made, that they deferred to Gase too much. This is not the case, which is good now, because now we can separate church and state. Now we know who's who. So if the coaching's not good, we know it's the coaching. If the personnel's not good, we know it's personnel. So now there's no questions about who picked this, that, and did they give him authority for this or that. That's out the window now. So now everything is clear as day. Now you got to get it done. So we'll see.
Got to get it done.
All right, man. Safe travels. You headed to the combine tomorrow?
Yeah, man. I'm actually I've been all over the place these past couple of weeks. So, as you know, got back from California last week. I'm in Austin this weekend, or been in Austin this weekend. I fly back home in a couple hours, get to sleep in my bed for a night, and then headed out to Indy the next morning. Some people might say, well, why wouldn't you just go straight from Austin to Indy?
Yeah.
I was 4 flights away from getting American Airlines Gold status, man. Like, sometimes sacrifices got to be made. If that means sitting on a plane for an extra 3 hours, then hey, man, the game is the game, bro. You just got to charge it to the game and keep it pushing.
That's funny, dude. That's funny. Okay. All right. That is funny. Okay.
Come on, man.
The things
priority access.
Standard. I got you.
Priority access, a free check bag. My company doesn't have to pay for, when I want to bring my suit, my jacket every week. They don't have to pay for the garment bag anymore. Like, that's I think everybody wins in this scenario. I think everybody wins here.
Of course. Listen, any luxury you can have while you fly, you take it. So I know what you're talking about, man. I feel you. So makes all the sense in the world. Follow him on Twitter at Marcel_LJ. And of course, you can catch him on ESPN doing his thing. Marcel, appreciate you, man. Thank you very much.
Yeah, appreciate you. Talk to you next time.
You got it, baby. That's our Edge Energy Drink Miami Dolphins Insider Report.